Hello Simmers and welcome to UK 2000's Norwich Extreme Airport. Or I don't know if it's the extreme version, but it's Norwich Airport by UK 2000 in X-plane 11. UK 2000 has started to release their sceneries, which were originally made for FS9, FSX, and later on prepared to X-plane 11 as well. So a very warm welcome to UK 2000 to X-plane 11. Because I really love their sceneries, and I'm planning on getting them all in the long run. Right now I'm having Birmingham and this one. This is Norwich, and the next in line to be bought, this will probably be next month after my next paycheck, is Gatwick, which is also looking very nice. But anyway, we are in Norwich, like I said, and we are in Norwich with the leading edge simulations Saab 340. That you can see right here in KLM Cityhopper livery. A repaint that was done by Leen de Jager and is available from the forums over at xplane.org. I will include a link in the description below. And today we will take this airplane from Norwich in the east of the UK to Amsterdam. We are now stationed or standing right here, very close to the east coast. Takeoff runway 27. And then we'll fly via Dibal Lamso to Schuchel to Amsterdam. There's currently quite a strong westerly wind in Amsterdam, so it's probably going to be an arrival for runway 27. As you can see, KLM Cityhopper livery. KLM Cityhopper actually flew this airplane. It entered service in 1990 and it was retired again in 1998. After which KLM Cityhopper operated a fleet that consisted entirely of Dutch-built Fokker airplanes. The Fokker 50, that was a twin turboprop airplane. The Fokker 70, that was, and the Fokker 100. Those were the, well, iconic T-tailed twin engine jets. And the Fokker 70 was retired finally last year. Unfortunately, last year, I must say. And right now, KLM Cityhopper operates a fleet that consists of Embraers, both the, I think it's the 175 and the 195. It can also be the 170 and the 190, I'm not really sure. But anyway, Embraers. And today, like I said, we will take a in-depth look in this Saab 340. Now the exterior looks awesome, as you can see, but we will be looking into that in far more detail later on in the pre-flight. And I think I'm going to do this flight from Norwich to Amsterdam in two parts, maybe even three. You just have to look into that. The first part will be the pre-flight and setting up the airplane until we are basically ready for pushback. That's part one. I think that will take us about 40 to 50 minutes all in all. And then the second part will be anyway the pushback, taxi, takeoff, climb out, and in any case the cruise until Lamso. And then I might continue in the second part with the approach and arrival into Amsterdam, but I might also make a third part with the approach preparation, descent, and arrival into Amsterdam. But I'll have to see how long everything takes. But as you can see, the flight deck is also very nicely modeled. Complete 3D rendering of the flight deck. Not everything is working. For instance, the circuit breakers are not modeled. And unfortunately, the test panel is not modeled either. That would be rather cool if they could implement that later on. This plane was originally developed for X-Plane 10. I've had it in my virtual hangar for a couple of months already. I flew the previous version in X-Plane 11 without problems, but I never did a video on it because it wasn't officially supported in X-Plane 11. Last week, Leading Edge Simulations released an update, version 1.5, making it officially compatible and supported in X-Plane 11. Some people might have an issue with the display of the nav radio, the navigation system in the radios. It can be blurry, not as you see it in here. If you suffer from that, I have also already reported that at the X-Aviation forums over at xpilot.com. And I also included a screenshot of what it looks like if it doesn't work correctly. So let me just show that to you. This is what you get. Very strange display of the radios and the navigation system. It is reported they know how to solve it. It will be solved in the next version that will be released. Until that time, the proper workaround is to go to your X-Plane graphic settings and ensure that texture quality is not beyond max. If you move it to the farthest right as possible with no compression, then you will get the strange display of the radio systems. So make sure that that is at max and you won't have a problem and everything works right as it should. So like I said, a good 3D cockpit, and also included are some gizmo menus. So if you move your mouse cursor to the right side of the screen, you will see this menu pop up. You get that most of the time. But anything from this below, that's all included in the Saab 340. This one is for the checklists, and we will look into that in far more detail throughout the flight. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to that right now. Here's some preset views. That's very convenient, and I attached some of these views to my quick view keys. So you basically select a view in here, for instance, the overhead. Then you press your right control button on the keyboard and any number on the numpad of your keyboard, and that will assign this view to that key. So for right now I'm having for key number 4 I get this one, 5 I get the center panel, 6 is the first officer side, 8 is the overhead, 2 is the pedestal, 0 are the radios, numpad 1 is the side panel for the captain's side, and numpad 3 is the side panel for the first officer side, but that's just my setup. And well, beyond that, we also have ground equipment. For instance, the locking pins, tube covers, wheel chocks, cones, anything that you can think of is in here. And the GPU can also be switched on, so let's do that. At least we have ground power in a minute. This is a well 2D version of the throttle quadrant, and I usually have that in here in the left lower corner of my screen. And the green bars, they indicate the position of the both the power and the condition levers on the airplane. So this is quite convenient because you have to set these condition levers, for instance, in certain positions throughout the flight. And with this, it's very easy to see whether they are set correctly or not. Then there's the option to include to display charts on the yoke. For instance, this one, L.E.S approach runway 6 in Amsterdam, or some other airports are included. And you have to look into the manual to see if it's possible to put your own maps in there. I think it is, but I'm not entirely sure. And there's also the option to set certain sound levels. You can use an auto start. I never do that because it's much more fun to do everything yourself, but it is possible at least. And here are some user preferences on how to operate and manipulate some of the dials and switches in this flight deck. Now, like I said, you might have to look up in the manual if you can put in your own charge. And the airplane comes with quite an extensive set of documents. If you go to your X-Plane 11 aircraft folder, to the X-Aviation and then the Saab 340, then you have the manuals folder. And included are a number of documents. The first one is charts, and this has all sort of performance charts. It's 120 pages, and you can basically look up everything that has to do with performance in these documents. So that's a very, very nice touch that that's all included. and it adds a lot of realism, or at least it can add a lot of realism to your sim experience. There is a flight tutorial. They have included basically a step-by-step walkthrough of a flight from Boston to JFK. And if you are completely unfamiliar with the airplane, I would really recommend you to use this. Do the tutorial flight once or twice, maybe even 3 times. And that's a really good way to show or to get to know the airplane, let me put it that way. There is some intro and settings. That's more of the blah blah that I just told you about the menus, etc., and what they are all for, and well, all sort of tips and tricks with the airplane. Very informative. I would really recommend you to read that before you start using the airplane. Here's a guide to the quick start option. I never actually really used that, but if you want to know what the auto flight or auto start system is doing, then make sure you read this. This is really a quick start tutorial telling you what you really have to do to get going with this airplane. And finally, there is also a systems guide. That's 209 pages of explanation of systems, what it what they do, how they work, how they should be operated throughout the various stages of flight. Really, really informative. I haven't read it all. I should be doing that, by the way. Um, but anyway, it's an extensive document and it really makes this add-on, the Saab 340, a study level sim. Because if you really want to master the airplane, you really have to go through these pages, understanding the systems and know how to operate them. Now, of course, we're not going to work through 209 pages of system manuals in this video. So what I will do is basically show you how to do a basic A to B flight with this airplane. And by doing so, I hope to show you what you get when you buy this package, and then you have to decide for yourself whether you think it's worth the money. Anyway, we are parked at the ground, but we cannot load any passengers because the door is still closed. So we have to start by opening the cabin, the passenger doors. So first we move into the cabin, unlock the flight deck door by moving this one up and this to the right. Then hover your cursor over this tape and just press your left mouse button and push your mouse away. That will open the flight deck door. As you can see, we have a beautifully modeled 3D cabin. That's also, well, you can, how do you call it, manipulate all sort of stuff. You can open and close the window blinds, for instance. And what you can also do is open and close the passenger door. And that's what we are going to do right now. So first, you have to select this one. So move your cursor when you get the index finger, press left mouse button. Do the same with the bar on top. And then you move your mouse over to the top left part of the door, just around here, until you get the open hand symbol. Press left mouse button and that will open the door. Well, we're not there yet. Press the jump seat. That will move the jump seat out of the way. And then you can press this little thingy down here, and that will move the stairs in front of the door. And then you press the red thing down there, and that will extend the steps, or the stairs. And once they are down, you can press the jump seat again. And now we actually have an airplane where passengers can walk in and out from. Another thing that is modeled is the emergency escape hatch in the flight deck. If you move into the flight deck and you press here, you can actually open this hatch. You can use that for emergency escapes or just for ventilation. But it's not too warm in Norwich today, so let's just close it. But it is a nice touch that it is all modeled. And well, let's just start by operating this airplane, start it up and setting up our flight to Amsterdam. Now, first, when you look at the overhead panel, um, let me just run you through the strips from top down. This is the ice protection for both the windshield, the engines, the wings. This is for interior light brightness, the the windshield wiper. This is the fuel panel. These are the, of course, the fire extinguishers for the engines, temperature for battery and fuel. This is the main, yeah, well, how do you say that, control panel for the propellers. This is the engine start panel, interior lights, exterior lights, some test panels, AC and DC electrics, the batteries and the external power, cabin signs, air conditioning, bleed air, emergency lights, and the door status. So let's just start by switching on the batteries. Now the batteries, they are down here, and the batteries, they have, oh, sorry, here we are. They have two positions. They have the on and the overdrive position. Just select them and press your left mouse button and select them at the on position. If you set them to the overdrive position, they will also start the hydraulic pump. But in the overdrive position, the batteries will be drained in about 20 minutes. So let's just not do that. We selected the ground power unit in here. So we have ground power available, and we'll switch on the external power by setting this switch to on. And that's the hydraulic pump that you just heard. And with the airplane now being fed electricity, I don't know if that's the correct way of putting it, but with electricity running through the airplane, let's switch on the nav lights to inform the ground crew of that. And what we can now also do is switch on the avionics. So you just press these three switches to the on position. And as you can see right now, everything starts to come alive in the flight deck. We can also switch on the navigation system right now. Just hover your cursor over this thing here, press left mouse button and move it, and then it will start. So right now we have power in the airplane, and it's time to run the first checklist, which is the preparatory check. So you press select, and that will bring you to the checklist. Here you will see the items on the checklist. In brackets, it's telling you what you should do or what the position should be. And you can you can check the box if you have done the item, but it's not an interactive checklist. So it's not like check the box and the lights are off. No, you go to the external lights, verify that they're off, and then you check the box. And to make that easier, Leading Edge Simulations has given us preset views with the checklist items. So external lights, just press view, brings you to the external light setting down here. And they should be all off. Well, basically we are past this checklist because we have already powered up the airplane. But that let's not spoil the fun in that. So we have the gear handle in the down position, the flap handle in the up position, the transponder is on standby, the batteries are on, so is the external power and the avionics. The emergency safety equipment is checked. The documents are on board. And the oxygen is now closed. Overhead panel, that doesn't give any strange warnings in this configuration. The pedestal is checked. And the tests, they are not modeled, unfortunately. That's the preparatory checklist completed. So what we do now is we'll move to the next checklist, and that is the walk around checklist. A very extensive walk around is included in this airplane, and I think that's really cool. Most add-ons don't have it, and basically the walk around is of course a vital part of every flight, and is always done prior to every flight by one of the cockpit crew members. So let's just run through the walk around. Now you can see that there's a lot of positions here. You just press the position that you like. That will give you the checklist, the items that you have to check. And with the preset views, you can walk around the entire airplane, and that will also give us a very good indication of the 3D modeling that took place on this beautiful airplane. So press view, and here we'll check the entrance door and the stairs. We'll check the access doors and the pitot tubes. So you can do two things. You can just press the checkbox here that will remove the items. But you can also go to the ground menu and set the pilot side tube covers. And that will remove them as well. So pitot tubes, they are checked. Angle of attack sensor is checked. View the windshields. View the wipers. View the outside air temperature probe. Check for damage on the radome. Check the oxygen green indication disc. Check the antennas and check the emergency door. And that's the first position. And when you move to the next checklist, that will bring you to position number 2. And in doing so, you will walk around the entire airplane. Just watch. So next checklist, view the nose gear. Now, not all of the preset views are exactly right, but you can manipulate them quite easy with your mouse or with your arrow keys on your keyboard. So let's say the downlock pin is removed and the uplock roller is clear, the tire condition is good, the gear doors are alright, taxi light is not damaged, and the pitot tube on the first officer side is also clear. Next checklist, the windows, the front windows on the right side of the cabin, they are not damaged. The emergency door is checked, the fairlings are checked, the landing light is checked, the de-ice boot is checked, the fuel drain is checked, and so are the antennas. Next item, the cowlings on the engine, they are all clear of objects. The propeller is not damaged. The air intake, including the bird catcher inlet, is checked and clear. The exhaust is clear. The oil coolers are checked. The PBG oil level is, well, you cannot really check that in the sim. So let's just say that it is. And check that there is no fuel or oil spills on the tarmac, which might indicate to a leak in the engine. And there is none, so that's checked. So position 5, the de-ice boots on the front edge of the wing is checked. The refueling points under and over are checked. Nav lights and strobes are checked. Aileron and trim tab checked. Static wicks checked. So is the flaps and the exhaust pipe. Go over to the main landing gear. Just walk around the GPU. Now you really see the phenomenal 3D modeling on this beautiful airplane. So main landing gear is checked. View the downlock pin is removed. Uplock roller and pad are checked. Tire condition is checked. The gear doors are checked. The brake wear indicators are checked. And the weight on wheel switches also. Next position, the rear windows on the right side of the cabin are not damaged. View the access point and view the static ports. Next checklist, check the de-ice boots on the horizontal stabilizer. And also on the vertical stabilizer for all that matters. View the vortex generators, view the elevators, view the rudder, view the trim tabs, static wicks, the nav lights on the rear of the plane, anti-collision lights, and the access panel. Check for the static ports, check the cargo door. Now you can actually open and close this one. Just hover your mouse till you get the index finger to unlock it. Then move your cursor up till you get the open hand. Press left mouse button and that will open the cargo hatch. And if you want to close it again, move your cursor until you get the open hand. Left click, it will close it. And then hover until you get the index finger, left click, and that will lock it. So the cargo door is checked. View the antennas. The beacon lights checked. Check the windows on the rear of the left side of the cabin. And the access doors. Next position, the main landing gear on the left hand side is checked. The downlock pin is removed. The uplock roller and pad are ready. Tire condition is checked, the gear doors are checked, the brake wear indicators, well, don't really know what to look at, but let's say it's checked, and the weight on wheel switches also. View the exhaust pipe, view the flaps, the aileron and trim tab, static wicks, the nav lights and strobes, the refueling points and the de-ice boots. And because you're walking the other way, you have the checklist in the opposite order than on the other side of the airplane. Check for the cowlings, they're clear, the propeller is not damaged, the air intake is not, it's clear of objects. The birdcatcher exhaust is clear, oil cooler is checked, PGB oil level checked, and there is no oil or fuel on the tarmac. Check the windows, front windows, left side of the cabin. View the emergency door, view the fairings, check the landing light, check the de-ice boot, and check the fuel drain. Finally, the internal walk around, check the first aid kit, check the emergency doors, they are not blocked. Check the life vests. Check the emergency flashlight, it's there. We already saw the fire extinguisher, by the way. Port oxygen pressure is checked, the smoke masks, and the smoke hood. So that concludes the walk around of the airplane with all the checks attached to it. So now we are ready to move over to the before engine start checklist. And we will run this checklist, and that will conclude I think this video, and then we'll move over to the to the actual engine start in part 2 of this series. But anyway, verify that the batteries are on. Well, we already did that, but let's check it again. The external power is still on. The bleed valve must be reset auto. So let's do that for both. Avionics are still on. The oxygen, pull that to switch it on. Circuit breakers is checked, they are not modeled, so there's not much use in looking in them in too much depth. The flight recorder, we can set the flight number, which is 1512. Here we are. Parking brake is set. Cabin signs on. Engine instruments, they are good as they are for now. We have to set the load out of the airplane. I think it's still alright. 900 kilos of fuel and 3,161 kilos of payload. Well, 917 and 3161, so that's about right. We can just add, let's say, 9 kilos on each side. Well, let's just leave it. 18 kilos is not going to cause a crash, so let's just resume the flight. Plane is loaded. There's an equal amount of fuel in each tank. The hydraulics. Anti-skid is on, hydraulic pump auto, quantity is in the green, and the PSI is 3000. Yeah, this looks good. View the cabin pressure, still in auto mode. And now we have to view the power and condition levers. So the easiest way to check that is with the throttle quadrant display. We have to verify that the power levers are in ground idle and the condition levers are in fuel off. So the power lever is ground idle, condition levers fuel off, that's checked. View the trims. Well, they are set correctly. We can always pitch reset. Now for the takeoff data and bugs, we still have to take a quick look in the charts. We are currently about 21,600 pounds, I believe. So anyway, we'll use the 22,000 pound row. And we have an air temperature of about 10 degrees, so we'll use this column. So we have a V1 of 101 knots, a rotate of 102 and a V2 of 105. So I will set the buck for the initial speed at 125 to give us a 20 knot safety margin over the V2 speed, because V2 is the speed at which the airplane can safely climb if one engine fails. But when the engine does fail and you are flying at 105 knots, chances are very likely that you will lose some speed before you are able of responding to the engine failure and the loss of power. And during that time the speed will drop, and if you are flying at 105 exactly and the speed is dropping, then you get below your minimum safety speed. So always go for an extra safety margin. It's a procedure I usually use at the Boeing airplanes, the 737s. I'm not really sure whether it's needed in the Saab, but I think just for safety it's always a good idea to have a little bit of extra speed. But anyway, that's just me. So takeoff data and bugs are checked and set. Now, before we start closing doors and switching the beacon on, we first have to check the flight plan. And that flight plan is not correct as it is right now. So just delete the current flight plan. And we'll start by entering our flight plan from scratch. We are right now at Echo Golf Sierra Hotel. And from there we want to fly to a waypoint called Dibal. So let's dial that in here. And you do that with this knob. This consists of basically 3 functions. You can push it. You have an inner knob and an outer knob. So push it first. That will give a green box here. And then you can alter the character with turning the inner knob. So just use your scroll button on your mouse for this. That's by far the easiest way of manipulating this. And we want to go to Dibal, so delta, and then you move with the outer knob to move the green box 1 position to the right. India, Bravo, Alpha, and then Lima. In the UK, so press enter and accept. And from Dibal we will fly to Bukut, so again the middle one. Bravo, uniform, kilo, uniform, tango, enter, enter. From Bukut we will fly to Lamso, so Lima, Alpha, Mike, Sierra, Oscar, enter, enter. Then it's down to, I think it was PayPal, yes it is. So Papa, Echo, Papa, Echo Lima, PayPal, it's already there, so enter, and intersection Netherlands, enter, accept. And from PayPal we will go to Schiphol, so Sierra, uniform, Golf, Oscar, Lima, and from Schiphol we will fly in ILS approach to runway 27. So we make a transition from Schiphol for ILS 27. You do that by first entering the airport. So Echo Hotel Alpha Mike. Schiphol Amsterdam, enter, and then you, with the outer knob, move the green box over Amsterdam, so EM. When the green box is over there, press the proc or procedures button and press enter when you are over the select approach. With the outer knob, turn that till you reach ILS 27, press enter, and we are coming in with a transition from Schiphol, so just dial this down to Schiphol, press enter again, load, enter. And right now we have the lateral flight plan programmed into the GPS, and we want to reach an altitude of 19,000 feet, that's our cruise altitude, before we reach Dibal, the first waypoint. So press the cursor, that will get the green box of the altitude, use the inner knob to select 19,000 feet. Just do that with your scroll button, that's by far the fastest way of doing this. And with the outer knob, continue to turn to the right, and we want to reach that before Dibal. Now move the green box over here, and then with the inner knob, walk through your flight plan, and when you have Dibal, turn the outer knob and set the vertical speed to about 1500 feet per minute. Press enter, press VNAV again, and here we are with the GPS loaded for our flight to Amsterdam, which is 133 miles according to the GPS and 136 miles according to the flight plan, so we should be good. Press flight plan again and you get the map and hide it down there. Now let's check the QNH for this area, which is 1017. So move over to the first officer's panel. And here you have a altitude indicator with both hectopascals and inches. It's 1017. So it's 3003. And dial that also in on the captain's side. So now the QNH is set correctly. We have the GPS loaded in. And what we also have to do is set our initial heading, because we will be taking off from runway 27. We are parked here, so it's pushback and then taxi out via Alpha 227. We'll just fly the runway heading, which is 269er in here for a short while. Yeah, 269er is mentioned in here. Before we make a right-hand turn to fly to Dibal. So 269er will be our initial heading, so let's dial that in. With the heading knob, which is in here, it's the green, the center knob of this one, and the other two are the course manipulators for the nav1 and nav2 radios. So 269er. That should be it. So with all that set, we can also set our initial climb, which will be, well, let's climb to flight level 190 immediately anyway. And we'll have a transition altitude at 5,000 feet out of Norwich. And that basically is it. What we have to do now is close the doors. And then we are ready to go. So retract the stairs. Press this one again. Put the jump seat back in place. Click here to close the door. Move this handle to closed and press this one again to lock it, and now the airplane is basically ready to go. What you can do is with this panel you can adjust some lights in the cabin, so you can set the window lights on or off, the overhead lights on or off, the reading and the lavatory lights can be switched on or off, service area and the entrance area. And you can also switch on the exit signs. So let's just leave them on for now. And we'll close the flight deck door. Lock that. And now we are ready, almost ready for engine start. Switch on the beacon light first. And the doors are closed. And with the before engine start checklist completed, we have come to the end of this first part of our series in the Saab 340 from Norwich to Amsterdam. I hope you liked this video so far, and I hope that you actually learned something from it and that I gave you an impression of what you get with the Saab 340. If you have any tips, tricks, questions, comments whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section below. As usual, please do so in a respectful manner. And I hope to see you in part 2 of this series, which will in any way cover the pushback, startup, taxi and takeoff. And I might even include the full flight to Amsterdam in there, so also the approach and landing. But I'm not really sure about that. We'll just see how it goes. So thank you for watching for this video. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes to the channel that I already received. It's very appreciated. I don't do this for money. So any other sign of appreciation is always very welcome. Hope to see you in part 2. Thank you for watching and bye bye.